Welcome to the Joyride Podcast. I am so excited that you are here with me today. My name is Rebecca Joy. I'm a life coach, a motivational speaker, and your host. This is a space where we get real, we get raw, and we certainly are getting very honest with ourselves. Here we're talking about real growth. I'm talking the kind that changes how you see yourself, how you trust yourself, and how you decide to move throughout your life. We are exploring confidence, embodiment, intuition, identity, wellness, and the inner work behind real life transformation. You do not need to have it all figured out to be here because trust me, I certainly don't. There is no pressure to perform or become something or someone else. This podcast is meant to feel like home. It's a place where you can come back to and settle in and feel seen and celebrated and really reconnect with what matters most to you. So if you are ready to live with more alignment, certainty, and self-trust, you're exactly in the right place. So let's begin. Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome back to another episode of the Joyride Podcast. I decided to record this on a very interesting day. Today is actually the Cancer new supermoon. So it's a very big deal today. And we are currently in Cancer season and we're in the middle of a Mercury Retrograde. So there is so much Cancer energy happening. And I knew that I just needed to sit down and just start recording. To be honest, I don't have an exact idea of what I want to be sharing in today's episode, but I'm focusing on being consistent and building. And I have had so much time over the past week where I just have felt so many emotions, so many high emotions, so many low emotions. And this past week has really taught me that I can very easily get caught up in those low emotions, those low vibrational emotions that just really fucking hurt and are really, really painful. And so I've been asking myself, how do I channel this energy in a very healthy way for me? And one of those ways is pouring myself and pouring my energy into doing things that I love and by being of service to others. So that is what I'm doing here today, recording today's episode. I would love to hear, please reach out to me on Instagram or share in the comments how you have been feeling this past Cancer season, because let's first dive into that. Cancer season is a water sign. I am a Cancer rising. I have very strong Cancerian energy in my chart, and every year I know that Cancer season is always going to be a very emotional one. How can it not be? It's a water sign. It's known to be the most emotionally intuitive sign. Cancer is all about home and family, roots, nostalgia, safety, nurturing, caretaking. So naturally, this is just a very emotional time for everyone. You don't have to have Cancer in your big 3 or big 6, because if you don't know, we all have every single zodiac sign in our astrological chart. So we're all affected in one way or another. And I have just been so emotional the past few weeks. And not like that's a bad thing. Most of the emotions that I have experienced have been beautiful and euphoric. But I will say that since the beginning of Mercury retrograde, because communication with people has been so whack and so all over the place, that it really has thrown me for a loop. So I am a Virgo sun, Gemini moon, Cancer rising. So I'm affected in every way, by every angle right now. And because I love astrology so much, and because I choose to continuously expand my knowledge on it, I do a lot of research into my chart and the transits and how I'm affected. And I've gone through phases before where I really try to step back and just let life do its thing. But then I also go through seasons where I'm like, I kind of really love this information and how it makes me feel seen, and it validates me and it affirms me with everything that I'm experiencing. So if that is you, I am right there with you, sister. I don't believe that we should force this type of information on to anyone. And I think that we can very easily get so caught up in it. Like, I have gone through many phases where I'm so caught up in human design knowledge and astrology knowledge where it's almost like boxing me in a sense. And I don't feel that way at all right now in my life. I feel so good with this information that I am taking in because it's really helping me navigate as I am building this incredible new life for myself here in Miami. So really quickly, if you have Virgo or Gemini placements, very strong and activated placements, you are very much so affected by every single Mercury retrograde because the planet Mercury is ruled by both Virgo and Gemini. So it really affects us and how we analyze every little thing. And again, Mercury retrograde affects everyone, just like Cancer season is affecting everyone. So there's a lot of energy happening right now. I mean, there's always energy that we are affected by, but especially right now, if you are feeling very much so in your feels, feeling so deeply connected to nostalgia and going back to the past and revisiting old memories. Like, Cancer loves nostalgia. I literally sat down this morning. I was going to get up and go to the beach first thing, but I'm so used to doing my morning routine that I kind of can't escape it. I just love it so much. And so after I did my vibration plate, while I listened to my activations, which I love. If you've never tried activations by Mimi Bouchard, it's incredible. I do it every single day when I'm on my vibration plate. I love it so, so much. But after I did that, I wanted to sit and I wanted to meditate. And I think for 30 minutes just went into me replaying past events over the past few weeks. And I swear it is a gift of mine, being a Cancer rising. You could put me in a corner and say, just like close your eyes and revisit old memories. And I could do that all day. Like, I love it so much. And I genuinely feel like it's a gift of mine. So if you've been feeling very nostalgic and wanting to revisit the past and old memories, just know that that is so on point for what's happening right now. But also, during this Mercury retrograde in Cancer, it is bringing up a lot of patterns and wounds around safety, around home, around being able to receive and what you are opening yourself up for. I have had so many wounds come to the surface recently, and they're always unsolicited, which I think is very interesting. It's like, oh, I didn't realize that was coming up, but thank you so much for showing me that, because now I can work through it and I can process it, and now I won't have to deal with it any longer. But Mercury retrograde has a tendency to do that, and I feel like intuitively, because it's happening in Cancer season, it's extra. Because usually during Mercury retrograde, because communication is so whack and it's so fuzzy, and it's a time when people just take longer to get back to people. There are disruptions in technology, in travel. It's not a great time to sign big contracts or do big things. Not to say that you can't by any means. More so just be aware that there could be delays in any, way, shape, or form that has to do with communication. But anyways, I do feel like the energy is so heightened, and it's intensified now being in Cancer, because Cancer loves to live in nostalgia land and in the past, and it's the sign that is all about home and your roots. So, there may be wounds that come up during this time around how you were raised, family dynamics, patterns regarding your love life and how you receive and give love, wounding around money. Like, just know that whatever is coming up right now is meant to be revealed to you. I think for a lot of people, when you are maybe new to doing this spiritual personal development work, it can be very scary for these things to just kind of come out of the woodworks. And then there are the other half of the population, like me, where I'm like, wow, I'm fucking used to this shit. Like my whole life I've been healing and processing and working through things. So like, what's another wound coming to the surface, you know? And I actually think it's such a beautiful experience because we get to really experience the duality of life. You know, I am in a season of my life where so much has shifted in such a short amount of time. And I feel like I'm really living my life. And I've spent many years where it has felt like I've gone through so much healing and so much internal work. And right now, I feel like I'm doing more of the external work, the living, versus the internal work. But that internal side is coming to the surface, and I'm not mad about it because I'm experiencing things for the first time in my life. And because of that, it is exposing old wounds around love and partnership and receiving and being taken care of and consistency, building, how I view money, how I view the energy around money. And so I'm not mad about it. I'm more so taking into account, how do I deal with the heaviness of this? We have to acknowledge what is coming up for us and to not be scared of that. Like I have had many moments over the past few weeks where I literally feel like I'm in pain and I'm aching and there's so much that's coming to the surface and I face it head on, but then I also choose to do something about that and to move the energy. And so I think one of the best ways for us to be able to process what is coming to the surface is to be able to know, how do we come back home and connect to ourselves? And that's something that I've been thinking about a lot recently as I've been navigating these really hard and heavy emotions. For instance, I'll give you an example. Something that has been really prevalent for me over the past, I want to say 3-ish weeks after I got over the initial honeymoon phase of moving to Miami, it started to really sink in like, oh, I'm here and my people aren't here. I am someone that really, really cherishes my friends in my life. Like I'm such a friend girl. I'm such a community girl. And that is why I felt so at home in Austin, Texas, because I didn't really have any family there. I did in the beginning, but then they left. And I really just built my life around my friends and my community. I was like dating here and there for the first few years, but honestly, like the second half, I was just so tapped into me and building my business and being selfish and doing my own thing and really putting, you know, the importance on my friendships and my community. And so being here, it has been revealed to me multiple times that I don't have that yet. And it's hard. I have my Gemini moon in the 11th house, which is all about community and networks and friendships. And it has been such a beautiful experience meeting new people and connecting with them in new ways. And honestly, like, one of my strengths and one of my gifts is being so forthcoming and being very extroverted in that way. I can make a new girly pop friend at any time. Like, I am not the girl that's like, oh, I've lived here for 2 years and I have like 2 friends. I'm like, oh no, after 2 years, I have like 25 friends, like best friends. Like, that's just who I am as a person. And I'm so excited to continue to build that, to build my friendships here, to build my community here, but to also have the space in my life for my partner and my future husband. And that is a huge change for me in my life because I'm going from putting all of my energy into my community and my friendships into wanting to put that into my forever person. And that's a really big deal and it's a really big shift. But, you know, I have been really longing and really aching for my people to the point where it feels very painful in my body. Like this weekend on Saturday, I had a really big cry because I just was missing my people. And something that I've realized for me is that when I'm not feeling connected to my people, and usually that's through communication, and I would say that that's honestly probably the case for most people. Communication or like obviously actual presence, you know, when you're genuinely with someone. But when I don't have that, it's really hard for me. And so Mercury retrograde has been really hitting me hard in that area of my life where I feel like there's just been not even a disconnect per se, but more so like the distance has been emphasized. And it's been really challenging for me because it's bringing up old wounds in my life where I have gone through years and years where I have just gone through so many moments where I feel so lonely. And I know that I'm not alone, but I feel so lonely. So that really has been hitting me hard over the past few weeks. And again, I'm not someone who shies away from these big, heavy emotions, but I will say that I've learned how to navigate them. Being an emotional, being a Cancer rising, if you didn't know, the moon changes signs about every day and a half. So if you are in a relationship with a Cancer, or if you have people in your life that have strong Cancer placements, they can kind of, I kind of relate it to Gemini energy. Gemini energy is all about variety, and I can, turn on so many different sides of me and so many different sides of my personality. And I really feel that extra being a Gemini moon, Cancer rising, like I'm constantly shape shifting when it comes to my personality, and it's just who I am as a person. But we are so heavily affected emotionally at all times. And sometimes it's just so hard to grapple with. But if you can sit there and honor and acknowledge what's coming up for you during this season of your life, but then also take action. And for me, it's been, okay, I'm going to go through so many different emotions in one day. It is the craziest roller coaster wave being an emotional. And when I say an emotional, I am an emotional in human design. If you don't know what you are, come see me for a reading. I will leave all my information down below. You are either a non-emotional or an emotional. Being an emotional, I experience every single emotion that you can imagine, honestly, sometimes in a day. It's wild, but it's such a gift. It's like one of my favorite things about my existence and, why God made me the way that I am. And I'm able to emote that, and I'm able to share about my experiences via this podcast, for instance, which is such a gift. But anyways, when I'm in those heavy emotions, I have to remind myself, this is fleeting, Rebecca, and they just come out of nowhere. I'll be driving in the car, I'll be sitting at home doing some work, I'll be watching a show on Netflix, and all of a sudden I'm like, fuck, it's here and it's happening. And it's hard to escape it, and so I don't escape it. I let the emotions just take over for however long they need to take over, and then I say, okay, let's do something about this. Let's make sure that we do something so that we feel connected, so that we don't feel lonely, so that I don't feel and have this pain lingering. Because as much as we need to as human beings, we need to honor our emotions. So many people are so caught up in the rat race of, I'm scared to feel my emotions. I don't have time to feel my emotions. I'm scared of what's going to happen to me if I feel my emotions. So people literally numb themselves, as we know, and you don't have to numb yourself in a toxic way through alcohol or drugs or mindless sex or this or that. Some people decide to numb themselves through over-exercising or overworking themselves or, never choosing to be alone because they're literally scared shitless to sit with themselves and to sit with their thoughts and their emotions. And that's the fucking power of Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde is always an opportunity where we're driving to our destination and we get to a stop sign, and we have to sit there for a little bit longer because we need to make sure that we are moving in the direction that is actually serving us. And so these moments in time when we have to stop, we have to internalize, we have to feel our feelings, especially when that energy is so potent and so heightened as it is right now. And we have to take a really hard look at ourselves and say, okay, what wounds are coming up for me? What patterns are coming up for me? Patterns that maybe I have outgrown, or patterns that, this is the last fucking straw and I need to outgrow this pattern. It's not a bad thing. It's actually such a gift because we need to face ourselves head on. And it's not always a bad thing. I think you can easily get so caught up in I'm always healing, I'm always processing something. I definitely was there for many years, and I'm so glad that I'm out of that. But knowing how to connect with ourselves on a deeper level. For me, being near the ocean, being near the beach has been a literal game changer for me and resetting my nervous system. I didn't spend the full day at the beach. I spent 2 hours at the beach because that's literally all that I could handle because it's so freaking hot outside in Miami. But I felt so regulated after that beach day. And every time I go for a beach walk and come back, like today, I went this morning, even though I sweat out maybe 10 pounds because, again, it's so hot, I can feel it in my body. I can not only feel my nervous system literally do a reboot, but I come back to myself and I feel lighter. I feel more connected. And really, we have to take the time to establish the pillars in how we connect with ourselves. For me, as I'm navigating, what is coming up for me as I'm longing for people and missing people, and I'm also sitting here and I'm like, okay, I'm no longer in survival mode. I'm no longer doing everything that I can in my power to make this goal happen, which is moving to Miami. I am here and I now actually have so much open space. And that's actually quite scary, if I can admit that. For so long I was working towards this thing and now that thing has happened. And so I have so much space and I have to sit with myself and ask myself the hard questions. Where do I want my energy to go? What am I doing with this energy? What do I genuinely want to build in my life right now? And so a lot of things are shifting for me. How I make money, my career, where my time is going, who my time is going to. Pretty much every area of my life is shifting right now. And I'm creating a new foundation for myself. So it's really, really important for me during these times that I stay so damn connected to myself. And so the ways in which I do that are going to the ocean, walking by the ocean, working out. That is a non-negotiable for me. And it's very interesting because I truly feel like in this moment, my body has never looked better and I've never felt better in my body. Like I really look at my body in the mirror and I'm like, whoa, that's me. And I've felt this way for many seasons of my life, not gonna lie. But it's interesting because my routine right now is so not routine. And I am a Virgo and I love a routine. And for so many years, I was in the gym day in and day out. I have put myself on workout plans. I've been put on workout plans. And I found that I really learned to love consistency. And it was so good for me. But now I'm in this era of my life where my housing situation is very much so up in the air. I'm very detached from that, which is also incredibly new for me. And I'm allowing myself to really be in flow. And my workout routine, something that I really thought that I needed to have this structure. And, on Mondays I do lower body. On Tuesdays I do this. On Wednesdays I do that. You guys, I haven't even joined a gym, which is so mind-blowing to me because I've been here for a month and a half. Like, usually that is the first thing that allows me to feel grounded. But I've been so detached in the sense of I'm on ClassPass, I'm trying out all these different workouts, and I'm still getting in really great workouts every week. But I'm giving my body more time to recalibrate. One, because it's hot as shit here. I am way more tired and I'm sweating way more. And I definitely feel like I need more time to rest in between these workouts. Like yesterday, the past, I would say maybe 4 Mondays, I've been taking this class. If you live in Miami, it's called WarFit. It's in Little River. It's called Glute Lab. It's fucking amazing. Like, I don't know how I'm ever going to do a lower body workout in the gym again on my own because I'm so obsessed with this class. You're going through maybe like 12 to 15 stations of different lower body exercises, machines, free weights. Like, this shit is fucking hard. And I walk out of there and I feel so accomplished. I feel so proud of myself, but I'm tired. And usually I have therapy after this class and I'm like wiped. And so like yesterday I was so exhausted. And I'm like, why was I exhausted? I got pretty good sleep. I'm starting to get my sleep back. Like, what's going on? Oh, it's because it's hot as hell here. Literally, it is hot as balls outside. And I just did this hard-ass workout at 8 a.m. on a Monday. So maybe I need to give myself a little more grace because, well, what in the actual fuck? But anyways, I have just been allowing myself to kind of do whatever tickles my fancy. And it's been so nice because it has freed up so much of this mental dialogue that I've always had with myself. I mean, I was like really living for years around my routines and my supplements and my workouts and what I ate. And now really everything that I do, my routines, from my morning routine to some type of night routine, if I even have one right now, to the way that I'm eating and my supplements, it's all just such a joy. And it's nice to have an element of normalcy as I am building this new life for myself. But anyways, workouts are one of the ways that I really connect to myself. Driving in the car listening to music. Oh my God. Like, I have always loved that, and I've always felt when I'm sitting, when I have a day where I'm like, I'm trying so hard to figure something out and the answers are just not coming to me. If you have an open crown center in human design, I think you will very much so relate to this. I learned when I was studying human design for the first time that when you have an open crown, you need to create space in your aura for clarity to come through. Sitting down and meditating for 3 hours and forcing yourself to sit down and figure out the answers is not how you should be going about things. Going out, going for a walk, putting yourself in a busy place like an airport or a coffee shop, or going for a drive, like doing something so that the logical side of your brain can just be kind of like tied up in doing the task, even like taking a shower, unloading the dishwasher, doing laundry. I've had so many moments where I'm just doing something where it feels so automatic and so mindless, where the clarity literally just drops down out of nowhere, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, holy shit, I tried to sit here for 4 hours trying to figure out clarity and get this answer, and now here you are just springing it on me as I'm like going for a drive to go get my nails done. I mean, it's really wild and it's really fascinating, but I have been loving my drives here so much. I will say that I do have a lot of open time in my schedule right now as I'm navigating, you know, my career and jobs and figuring out, you know, how I'm making money and where I'm living, and just there's a lot of transition happening in my life right now. And so I'm finding when I'm having those days where I'm feeling a lot of emotions come up that are painful and they hurt, and I'm like feeling overwhelmed with how am I going to do this and building this and blah, blah, blah. I get in my car and I go for a drive. And literally I could just drive somewhere. I can drive to Whole Foods. I can drive to go get a matcha. I can just like drive to the beach and sit or do whatever. And that is one of the ways that I really connect to myself. And I think we have to find out what are those ways in which we can really come back home to ourselves and really connect. Maybe for you, it's sitting on Pinterest for a few hours or calling your best friend and having a 3-hour-long conversation. I was, me and my friend Jordan, who I mentioned in my last voice note, I met her in North Carolina. She was my first bestie girl. We have set up these calls once a month where we just like go in on our lives. It's like friend talk, but also like coaching talk. And last night we were on the phone for 3 hours. And it's exactly what I needed on a Monday night. Like, I was so looking forward to that conversation with her. We talked about everything under the sun. And that is one of the ways that I feel very connected, because I can't have these deep dive conversations where I get to talk about how I'm feeling emotionally and things happening in my romantic life and with jobs and my career. Like, I can't go that in depth with a lot of people in my life. And so I know that for me, not only am I able to connect with her in that way, but I'm also able to really connect with myself, because after those conversations, I sit back and I have so much more clarity around things in my life. And it reminds me how much I need to continue to prioritize those conversations. So my homework for you, if you are listening to this episode, is during these really big transitions, and if you are so very affected by them like I am, I really want you to take this time to sink into, what do I need to do in order to feel a sense of connection? Not reassurance from people, like genuinely feel connected to other people and to yourself. Because to me, connection has always been like one of my pillars. When I redid my authentic code for the beginning of the year, I think you do like your top 4. One of my top 4 was feeling connected. And then I break it down. How do I feel connected to myself physically, spiritually, emotionally, romantically? Like, I really get specific and I really break it down. Because when you are a highly sensitive, highly intuitive, highly emotional being, we always have to seek out connection, because we're not here for the surface level shit. And to me, when I don't have that sense of connection in my life, I start to go bonkers, literally. Like, I felt like I was like crashing out last week. I'm like, all of my plans are changing and no one wants to talk and no one can pick up the phone, and I'm just like over here missing everyone and longing for everyone and aching for everyone, and I'm just like, oh my God, I feel so lonely and what's going on? And I have to take a deep breath and I have to remind myself why all of this is coming to the surface right now. What is it teaching me? What is it showing me? How is it giving me an opportunity to heal from past wounds? How is it giving me an opportunity to evolve, to shift the way that I do things, to shift the way that I see things? You know what I'm getting at? Like, it's always an opportunity for us to transform and to not get so sucked into the vastness of that. Like, I just put out a reel on Instagram today. I had this download come through yesterday, and it was about life just keeps on moving, as deeply or as much as we want things in our life. You want the love of your life. You want the dream job. You want the dream house. You want this amount of money in your bank account. You want to feel a certain way. Amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. We should all continuously be striving for things, and we are allowed to have desires, but we have to stay in motion, and life does not stop just because you want something really, really, really badly. You have to keep working towards it, and Mercury Retrograde, even though it is a time where it feels like, okay, kind of like a sacred pause for me to sit here and go internal and reflect and review, that's still moving forward, because there are people who operate at such a high speed where they're not even consciously and intentionally taking the time to stop and ask themselves these questions. Where am I going? What am I doing? What do I want to be putting my energy towards? Why does this emotion or why does this thing keep on coming to the surface? And maybe I should deal with it. Maybe I should look at it. Maybe there's a reason why this pattern keeps on happening to me in my love life. You know what I'm saying? Like, taking those sacred pauses, whether that's, for a few weeks, or even like you're going through a phase, like for me in North Carolina, it just felt like a very, very long sacred pause. I mean, I've mentioned this in multiple episodes. It felt like I wasn't even like fully living my life for 10 months, and it was really challenging. And you couldn't pay me to go back there, but I really used the time wisely because I was healing. I spent a lot of time with my family. I had to disconnect and detach from a lot of identities that I'd built for myself. And I was really preparing myself to become a partner. And I was really preparing myself to receive this big, beautiful, abundant life that I'm now living, and that I'm now taking the sacred time and energy to ask myself, how do I want to do this? How do I want to build this? How do I want to show up for this? Even if I have days and weeks where I'm feeling so emotional, where I'm feeling lonely, where I'm feeling confused, where I'm feeling like I've felt this before, and this is a past pattern of mine, all of that is part of the process. But life does not stop moving. Life is meant to be lived. You are meant to experience the full breadth of life, all of the emotions, good emotions, bad emotions, the highs, the lows. It's all a part of it, and we are so lucky that we get to experience the highs and lows of life, and we get to be on this journey where we're constantly learning, how do I come back home to myself? And who makes me feel at home with myself? Oh my gosh, this has been one of the most beautiful lessons of Cancer season. There are people that are newer people in my life that have brought out these sides of me that have been dormant for so long, and I'm so incredibly grateful. And I know it's because I'm exactly where I need to be. And I did so much work to get here. And even though this may be a super sensitive time for me, a super sensitive time for you, this too shall pass, because it always does. But there just is so much opportunity during this window. I mean, Leo season is going to be here around the corner. And during Leo season, it's like we're popping off queens. Like, it's a fire season. I feel like I personally feel so magnetic and so abundant in Leo season. And especially because Jupiter is now in Leo for the next year. It's like, woo, honey, get out there and be seen and go out and be your bad bitch self. But before we get there, we got to lean into Cancer season. We got to deal with the sensitivity and the emotions and really ask ourselves and really sit with ourselves and acknowledge what makes me feel at home. And for Mercury retrograde purposes, you know, what does not make me feel at home? What am I ready to let go of? What people, what patterns that I've adapted to over the years, what routines, what rituals, you know, we're all doing things that we're all engaging in patterns and doing things that go against how we can truly feel at home with ourselves. I know that I do things that aren't good for me, like scrolling on social media for way too long because, I don't know, I need validation. I'm seeking connection and I'm not getting it from people in my life, so I go to social media for connection. Like, you know, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but then it's like I can overly abuse it if I'm spending hours on this app when I could be channeling and using that energy in other ways. So we are going to get through this season together. I promise you. I know it feels really heavy right now, but it's all a part of the process because this is what is allowing us to continue to move forward. So that is what I have for you for today's episode. I am so grateful that you are here for yet another episode of the Joyride Podcast. If you are interested in getting a human design chart reading, I have a few offerings up on my website. A 60-minute reading, which covers the foundational elements of your human design chart. I also have a reading called the Expanded Human Design Reading, which is 90 minutes. So we are going way more into depth. We're going over your gates, your channels, and more of the intricacies and details of your chart. And then if you are in Miami and you want an in-person experience, I also have that option as well. So that is all listed on my website. I will leave all the information down below. If you found this episode to be helpful in any way, I would so love it if you rated the show and shared it with someone. But with that, I am just sending you so much love. I appreciate you more than you know. And I hope that you have such a beautiful rest of your week. See you in the next one. Bye.